Still discussing the elections, and this segment will be discussing security issues, political violence in the 2023, coupled with the emergency meetings held last week by INEC over the attacks on their facilities. Joining us on the show now is the security analyst, Mr. Dennis Amakri, and also we're going to have in the INEC Commissioner, National Commissioner of Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee of the Independent National Electoral Commission, which is INEC, Mr. Festus Okoye. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show. It's good to have you both.
Good morning.
Let's start with Mr. Okoye, because we read a report last week that INEC offices across board was damaged, and this might affect some of your outings for the 2023 elections. Could you confirm exactly what happened to us?
Our office in Abeokuta South local government area of Ogun State and the Ede South local government office of Osun State were attacked by unknown persons. And in the attack in Abeokuta South local government, we lost a total of 65,699 permanent voters' cards meant for people to protect. Also lost a total of 904 ballot boxes, 29 voting cubicles, 8 generators, 57 election bags, and 30 megaphones. The attack and damage in Ede South local government was minimal. We are still trying to establish the motive for this attack, and we're also trying to establish why our office has been targeted at this particular period. But we are going to recover quickly from these attacks because we still have sufficient time to recover and replace some of the items damaged.
Okay,
Mr. Festus, just last week, we heard the INEC boss, before the National Assembly was trying to get, some funds to help you rent offices due to the flood. That flood also affected some of your officers, as this kind of attacks you talked about. How, what's the result of that? How profitable? Has he gotten that money? Has it been approved?
Well, in relation to the flood, what we have done is to direct all our resident electoral commissioners and the electoral officers in all the local governments affected to compile the list of these local governments, compile the list of items affected by the flood, and also see whether some of the items are reusable, and also to see whether some of the offices can still be surveyed. For the offices that cannot be surveyed, we are going to rent offices for the 2023 general election. For those that can be surveyed, we are just going to carry out a minor renovation and also replace the items that were damaged during the flood. So we have compiled the list of these local governments and these offices, and we are taking remedial measures, or we are putting in place remedial measures to deal with the situation.
Let me come to Mr. Makri for a moment. Mr. Makri, I know you're a security analyst. What are your thoughts on these challenges INEC might be having towards the election? What do you think they can do to salvage it?
Thank you very much. You see, this particular electoral violence, or should I say electoral challenges that INEC is experiencing, is one that is expected in Nigeria. And then, of course, pre-arrangement before the election proper is what is needed at this time. Pre-arrangement in the sense of voter education, and then, of course, the training of electoral officers and what they are supposed to do during the election itself. Because we find out that many Nigerians are blindsided. They go into the election not knowing exactly who to vote for, or they are just giving money, they buy their votes, and stuff like that. So I think a lot of education and enlightened citizenry, I think, is what we need.
Okay.
Okay, my question is to Mr. Okoye. You had mentioned earlier that fortunately what was lost in the fire can be recouped. Exactly how would that happen in time for the elections? And I feel that these are highly sensitive materials. Why is it easy for people to come in and attack not once, but twice? Do we have enough security to protect INEC offices nationwide?
Well, the materials that were affected in Ede South and in Abeokuta South local government areas are not sensitive INEC materials. No BVAS was affected, and we have not printed ballot papers for the 2023 general election. So the things that were affected are what we call non-sensitive electoral materials, like voting cubicles, like ballot boxes, stamp pads, and so on and so forth. Now, there's a possibility that the level of security at our local government offices has not been adequate because we have 704 local government offices. But based on the meeting we had with the various security agencies last Friday, they have agreed, one, to deploy joint security and safety teams to all the 704 local government offices of the commission. They have also agreed to upscale intelligence gathering, sharing, and utilization during this particular period. So we are sure that given this particular commitment, we can begin the movement of some of these materials because some of these materials have to be in our state offices, in our local government offices, way ahead of time, so that we won't have the issue of late deployment of materials.
Yeah.
But if you burn the up, there's the possibility that materials may not get to their locations on time. But we have sufficient time to recover, and we are going to recover as quickly as possible.
Okay, let me come back to Mr. Makri, because you talked about voter education, and I worry because yes, even if we train all the electorate and train the INEC officials, sometimes politicians find a way of using some thugs to destabilize the entire electoral process. What can they do to ensure that this doesn't happen in the coming elections?
Thank you very much. You know, the Inspector General of Police came out to make a list of offenses that are against the elections. And of course, they were very laudable, but my own problem is how effective are they going to be? Because when you list out offenses, when you put out a law, and if that law is not enforced, then it is no law at all. So, and that is the problem, because now INEC itself does not have any kind of power to enforce. They can go ahead and say, okay, we cancel it, but how come when these people are creating these problems, they go scot-free? That's why this synergy between security agencies and INEC and immediate arrest of situations, because, for instance, even people are going to campaign, and then you find out that some thugs, definitely everybody knows where the thugs are coming from. You know, you go to certain states, and of course, some people will come and attack another party. Those people should call to order immediately, because these are, when you see the leaders going to sign an accord, peace accord, it's not enforceable, and I don't know why we cannot enforce that.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay.
So, sir, Mr. Festus Okoye, I'm a bit worried about INEC, and the reason I'm a bit worried is we already have a lot of insecurity challenges in the country. We can't afford to deploy more people to start securing all the INEC offices. So my question is, how is INEC going to work with the locals to understand the responsibility that they have? Because for me, I believe that it is the responsibility of those within the area of the INEC office to take ownership of the INEC office and secure INEC office. How is INEC exploring the option of a joint ownership and a joint security approach where the local community people take ownership of everything that happens in INEC and how it affects them long term?
I think that is a very, very important point. And we've been exploring this particular pathway. Our electoral officers are in close contact with the traditional rulers in the various communities, religious leaders in the various communities, youth and women's groups in the various communities. And we've impressed it on them to keep on reminding them that they also have a responsibility to keep an eye, so to say, on INEC facilities because these are national assets that are located in their various communities. And as you can see, after the end SARS protest, some of the facilities in some of the local governments that we attacked, the local communities and the local governments came together and they rebuilt some of these offices to show that some of these communities understand the sensitivity of the assets that are located in their communities. But I believe that with this joint security approach, this joint collaboration between all the security agencies in relation to the protection of INEC offices and INEC facilities, that some of these attacks will stop and those involved may likely be neutralized. And so we are exploring both pathways and both approaches. And I believe that both approaches will work. But let there be no doubt whatsoever of the determination of this commission to proceed with this election and also to conduct an election Nigerians will be proud of. Anybody, any individual or groups or organizations that think that they can stop this election, I think they are on the wrong pathway because the constitutionally and legally, this commission is determined to conduct this election.
All right.
So I wanted to talk to Mr. Makri for on this issue of security. You know, Tope just mentioned INEC partnering with locals. What would you advise? How would you advise people in certain localities to protect, you know, themselves or INEC offices?
What you said is very, very essential, but very, very difficult. Difficult in the sense that we are in a society that has some fundamental problems. Fundamental problems. I remember when I was in service, we go to some areas, and of course, the area is already decided who they are going to vote for. And then, of course, they bring out masquerades. If they know that you are not going to vote for a particular candidate, the masquerades are going to pursue you out of the area. You know, so partnering with the locals is very, very important, very, very essential. But how do we, you know, go down to address this fundamental issue to make people understand that this is a national thing? People should vote. Even husband and wives can vote separate parties or separate people. But it's a very difficult issue. And I think basically voter education and then, of course, INEC liaison with the security agencies.
We still have the INEC commissioner with us, Mr. Festus Okoye, and also security analyst, Mr. Makri. Let me come to Mr. Festus Okoye because Nigerians are really asking about this BVAS because many have expressed their concern that the elections might not be free and fair because they feel that somehow politicians will find a way to manipulate the system. What kind of reassurance can you give the electorate at this time that when they vote, their vote will actually be counted and that thuggery will not be allowed to scatter the process, manipulate the process?
The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has specifically given the Commission a particular mandate. And our mandate is to organize, undertake, and supervise elections. And we are going to continue to do that. Now, it is the Commission itself, without prompting from any individual, without prompting from any organization, that introduced the BVAS. Because prior to the BVAS, we were using the smart card reader, which only reads the fingerprints. And we saw that certain elements and certain political interests moved to undermine the smart card reader and resorted to the use of the incident forms as a means of bypassing the smart card reader. So we introduced the BVAS, which has the capacity to read both the fingerprint and the facials. And as the chairman has pointed out, if the BVAS cannot read their fingerprints and cannot read their face, what it means is that you must have left your fingerprints at home and you must have left your face at home. And we are not going to allow you to vote. So the BVAS is a multidimensional instrument that allows us to carry out voter registration, allows us to carry voter authentication and verification, and also allows us to carry out voter upload. The BVAS itself works offline. It doesn't work with any network when it is engaged, when it is used for voter verification and authentication. And the law is very, very clear. A presiding officer must use the BVAS for purposes of voter verification, certification, and authentication. And any presiding officer that does not use the BVAS has committed an electoral offense. And they know the implication. And we are going to point out to them the implications of doing that. And so for us, the BVAS is certain and will be used for the elections.
All right,
let me follow up.
Okay.
Yes.
Please let me follow up. I read in the papers, I think about last week, about the fact that the collation, the issue where people suspect issues always happen in the time past is from polling booth to collation center, and that the result isn't transmitted straight from the polling booth, even with BVAS, that it will happen from collation center, and they feel there's a loophole between when the results go from the polling unit to the collation center. How can, why are we not getting the results going straight from polling unit to the server?
The commission cannot undermine its own innovation.
Okay.
We were the ones that designed this particular innovation. We were the ones that went to the National Assembly and asked the National Assembly to give it legal backing.
Okay.
We have made it very clear that what is transmitted will be transmitted from the polling unit, from the 176,846 polling units. And what is transmitted is what we call from EC8A, which is the polling unit level result. That polling unit level result will be transmitted from the polling unit. Now, there's a possibility that in a few isolated areas, there may be network issues. But the moment you snap, so to say, that from EC8A, it locks in the BVAS, and then the moment it signs the network, it transmits automatically. So we are going to transmit the results of the 2023 election direct from the polling units. Anything to the contrary is not from the commission. And I'm telling you what the commission intends to do. What the commission has been doing.
Fantastic. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Mariam.
Please caption that. I have a question. I think it will go for both of Mr. Okoye and Amakri. And it has to do with campaigns going on now and the violence that have been reported so far. And my question is, what can we do to deter people and parties, you know, and politicians from engaging in this level of violence? People should be allowed to campaign peacefully. What kind of investigations happen when things like that are reported? What prosecution happens? Is it done at party levels? Is it at individual levels? What are the repercussions if you're caught doing that or party members are caught involving in that to deter people from doing this?
Samakri would like to do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, that is a very, very important aspect of our electioneering that is really giving security agencies headache. I believe, or should I suggest, that they have to be on their toes right now, starting from the electioneering days, because we'll be having reports already where people that are campaigning are being attacked, people that traveling and stuff like that. So I would want the security agencies to be on their toes. It is a situation where if you have a law and you don't enforce it, nothing happens. If there is any campaign, I will suggest that if there's any campaign, they should also send in policemen, not wait for the election proper. Because right now, people are gathering to have an election, maybe in a stadium or in a particular place, and they are there by themselves. The only law enforcement people you see are the people that maybe come with the VIPs. But the state police, the state commands should send policemen to guard that election so that when you have miscreants coming to attack them, then they should make some arrests. And when they make arrests, we want those people to be prosecuted.
All right.
Okay. I would like to ask Mr. Festus this question. So just like last week, I think, there was reports that, the PDP rally in Borno State was, disrupted by suspected hoodlums from other parties. And the PDP issued statements that the police command countered. The police PRO in that state kept countering that wasn't the fact of the matter, that there was really no attack, there were mischief makers maybe on the entourage, but there was no attack at the rally grounds. How do you resolve issues like that? What do you do when these kind of reports come out and there are clashes between, you know, different accounts?
During the meeting we had with the various security agencies last week, the chairman made clear that we have tracked over 50 of such incidents across the different states involving different political parties. Some of these clashes are within the parties themselves. Some of them are from outside the political parties. So I think that it is important from the resolution last week that the Inspector General of Police has made it very clear that he's going to summon a meeting of all the leaders of the various political parties, the leaders of, the candidates themselves, and the critical stakeholders, for them to understand the implication of not sticking to the rules and regulations and guidelines related to political campaigns. Any political party that wants to campaign in a local government must give our electoral officer in that particular local government 10 days notice of his intention. And any political party that wants to campaign in any state must give the resident electoral commissioner 10 days notice of his intention. What the importance of this is to also enable the commission to monitor some of these political rallies, political campaigns and processions, and also report if there are incidents, and if there are incidents, to collaborate with the various security agencies in terms of prosecution. So the Inspector General of Police is going to make it very clear to the political parties that the period of grace is over, and that from now on, any political party or any supporter of any political party that breaches any of the provisions of the law will be proceeded against.
Mr. Okoye, let me ask you this question. It's not so much about security, it's more about the electorate. They're one of the factors that discourage people from voting, especially on election day, is the usual practice of you coming in the morning to do the authentication, the verify, and then you go back home. They say you have to come back at 3 o'clock, for example, to vote. Now, some people go home, they never come back. Is it possible that the process of voting in these coming elections can be such that it can be done simultaneously? So as you do your authentication, when you've been you've gone through the authentication, and then you move straight to voting almost immediately. That will encourage more people to come out and vote.
We no longer do differential accreditation and voting. We do simultaneous accreditation and voting. And that was exactly during the 2019 general election and in the 105 off-cycle elections that we have conducted. For the 2023 general election, it's going to be simultaneous accreditation and voting. So we are not going to have special time frame in terms of accreditation and voting.
We still have our guests for a few questions for social media.
Yes, so it's Omoni Idris, and I think this question is for Mr. Okoye. He says that you've been on 2 programs this morning and he still hasn't heard anything about underage voters. Please, could you give us any update you have on underage voters, the numbers? So, I mean, what the INEC process has been able to curtail when it comes to underage voters registration.
Mr. Okoye, are you there? Hello? He's speaking, but we can't hear him. Mr. Okoye, did you get the question?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. If you recall, between the 28th day of June 2021 and 31st of July 2022, the Commission carried out what we call the continuous voters registration exercise. At the end of this particular exercise, we had a total of 12,298,944 completed registrations. Out of this, the Commission removed a total of 2,780,756 double and multiple registrants and other malicious registrations. We have done our own. Section 19, subsection 1, 2, and 3 of the Electoral Act obligates the Commission to display the register of voters in the 774 local government areas of Nigeria and in the 8,809 registration areas for claims and objections. And any person whose belief there has been any malicious registration can make an section relating to this. And we have also uploaded the entire register on our website.
Fantastic.
So let Nigeria us further in cleaning up the voters register.
All right, Mr.
And we
Okoye,
will really
let me say that in plain Nigerian English, just to be sure that our viewers understand. What you are saying, what I heard you say, everyone who has registered and is registered in your website, if you go to your local government, the INEC office in the local government right now, you will see the list of accredited voters for that local government. Is that correct? And that full list is also in your website. Is that what you just said?
Exactly.
Fantastic. Point taken.
Is it with a protocol on how to object to the presence of any individual or to the listing of any individual as a registered voter.
Fantastic.
So if you make your objection, the commission will consider it and remove all malicious registrations. And so we have cleaned up the voters register. It is also left for Nigerians to assist the commission in further cleaning up the voters register so that we can have a clean, robust, and authentic register of voters.
Okay, we have to wrap up.
Let me come to Mr. Makri. What you're having a conversation with you and someone from INEC. What would you say is the loophole you've seen in INEC that you believe you have an advice that can help us fix towards the election? Okay,
thank you for that, Okoye. You know, just like he said right now, if anybody discovers any person that registered wrongly or something, they should inform INEC. But let's go back to basics here. The voter himself, many Nigerians are not literate enough. How many of them have facilities to go to the INEC website to go and check to see if somebody is wrongly registered there? So there will be, I think INEC should take it upon themselves, not just showing people where to press their finger, but a voter education, serious voter education, whereby people will be aware. Secondly, they should also try and work closely with the security agencies, because I know that those are the keys where even some of these security agencies can be compromised, but working with them and ensuring, because Nigerians, I know, when people are arrested, they get worried, or even when the politicians send them out and they're arrested, let not the politician come back and then, you know, get them released or anything like that.
I have to wrap up. Thank you so much, Mr. Mokre and Mr. Festus Okoye. Thank you, too, for joining us. I think for me, I always say that when people say Nigerians are not educated enough, I say when they're applying for American visa, trust me, they find a family member to help them fill the forms. So I usually don't use that as an excuse for many Nigerians. What's important to you, you will find a way to do it. I think this is a very crucial election for many Nigerians, and it's important we get it right. I think INEC has done their bit. They have extended the PVC collections, and the people are still collecting. I went to go and collect mine. I'm yet to get it. They told me to come back. Once I get it, I'll bring it on TV and let people know that I have collected mine. But everybody should go and collect. And they're telling us today that when you, from the polling unit, after you vote, it is uploaded immediately to BVAS. So the issue of, they'll change the numbers, that's been taken care of. Also, they are saying that you can go today to your local government, the INEC office in the local government. I know where my own is. I've been there last week. Go to yours, go and find your name to be sure that you are part of the voters. So if you have family members who have also registered and this is their name, you can also make a complaint to INEC. So everything is put in place for us to have a free and fair elections. It's just left for Nigerians to come out on that day to vote. That's all we can take.
Thank you.
On this show, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.